Imagine a white powder costing less than $1, capable of exterminating ceiling mold not superficially, not by bleaching it away, but by destroying it at its root, at a cellular level within mere seconds. It forms a lasting shield that keeps the spores from ever returning. Compare that to hiring a roofer, who would charge between $500 and $1,500 just to locate the leak behind that unsightly stain. A mold remediation company would bill you from $2,000 to $5,000 to sanitize the area beneath it. If you then hired a painter to cover the discoloration, you'd spend another $300 to $800. Altogether, a single ceiling in one room could cost you $3,000 to $7,000. And yet, the worst part is the mold frequently reappears within months. Because none of these so-called professionals address the true cause, they deliberately avoid the root issue, because a perpetually moldy ceiling keeps the cash flow coming. In fact, the average American pays approximately $2,300 for mold remediation. The industry itself rakes in over $2 billion annually in the United States alone, expanding at 5 to 6% every year. A powder that could permanently eliminate the problem for pennies would undermine that entire system. Yet, this powder exists. It has for over 1,000 years. This is the tale of the most cost-effective, powerful mold eliminator on Earth, praised by few, yet purposefully hidden. Travel back in time more than 1,200 years to the dry lake beds of Tibet. Along the edges of evaporated waters, Silk Road traders discovered a peculiar white mineral. It resembled ordinary salt, but behaved in ways that astonished them. This mineral cleaned metals so perfectly that molten gold fused flawlessly during soldering. It preserved animal hides and destroyed fungus instantly without releasing a single harmful fume. The Tibetans named it tinkle and began transporting it along camel caravans westward, seeking markets willing to pay extravagant sums. By the time tinkle reached Persia and Arabia, blacksmiths and goldsmiths treated it as a closely guarded secret, valued higher than many spices. Early Chinese texts recorded its antifungal properties in medicine. Babylonian artisans employed it for textile preservation. Egyptians integrated a similar substance into embalming procedures. The Romans incorporated it into ceramic glazes, some of which survive in museum collections today. For centuries, knowledge of this mineral quietly traveled between civilizations. Each culture independently realized it could halt decay, destroy rot, and protect materials from destruction. However, borax remained scarce and outrageously expensive because Tibet was essentially the only source. Then, in 1275, Marco Polo brought samples to Europe, where the continent became captivated. Venetian goldsmiths hoarded it, and glassmakers on the island of Murano constructed entire furnace operations around it. For 600 years, this single mineral shaped European metallurgy, ceramics, and preservation techniques. A major turning point came in 1856, when geologist John Vash discovered massive borax deposits buried beneath the California desert. Suddenly, this rare, indispensable mineral lay beneath American soil, waiting to be extracted. By 1883, William Coleman had established the Harmony Borax Works, employing 20 mule teams to haul 10-ton wagons over 165 kilometers across the scorching desert to the nearest railroad. In 6 years, these mule teams transported over 20 million pounds of borax without losing a single wagon. This mineral, known as borax or sodium tetraborate, is a naturally occurring alkaline salt with a pH of 9.3. For more than a century afterward, American households kept a 20-mule borax box under their kitchen sink. It became the standard for killing mold, limiting mildew, removing stains, neutralizing odors, and repelling pests. No gloves required, no hazardous fumes, no corporate middleman charging inflated prices. But then, the mid-20th century saw the explosion of synthetic cleaning products. Billions of dollars flooded stores with flashy packaging and aggressive advertising. Borax was pushed to the bottom shelves, then to the back, eventually fading from public memory. Not because it ceased to work, but because it worked too effectively and cost too little for the burgeoning industry to tolerate. The secret remained hidden. I have collected the methods. The cleaning and restoration industry prefers, you never learn, mold elimination that costs pennies, yet surpasses $1,000 professional treatments, wood restoration techniques suppressed by the lumber industry to maintain sales, DIY waterproofing sealants that protect surfaces for years without contractors, pest control formulas perfected by indigenous cultures centuries before chemical companies existed, and emergency shelters costing almost nothing that outperform tents priced at $200 or more. Now, observe what happens at the molecular level when borax meets mold colonies on a damp ceiling. Mold is a fungus that thrives in mildly acidic environments, typically between a pH of 3.5 and 7. Borax, registering at a pH of 9.3, creates an aggressively alkaline environment far beyond the tolerance of virtually all household mold species, including the notorious black mold, Stachybatric. When a single cup of borax is dissolved in 1 gallon of hot water and applied across a ceiling infested with mold, the resulting alkaline solution seeps deeply into the fungal colonies, disrupting the cell membranes of every organism it touches. At the microscopic level, it starves the mold by interrupting the enzymes essential for its survival. Research cited by the United States Environmental Protection Agency confirms that a 2.5% borax solution can entirely prevent mold from growing on treated surfaces, not just slow it down, not merely reduce its spread, but completely stop it. Yet borax accomplishes something that no over-the-counter mold spray can match. As the water evaporates, it leaves behind a delicate crystalline layer adhered to the ceiling. This layer sustains the alkaline environment long after the initial treatment, creating a passive antifungal shield. Any airborne spores that settle on this treated surface are rendered incapable of germinating. They cannot reproduce, they cannot feed, they cannot form a new colony. This invisible, long-lasting defense endures for months, all without producing a single hazardous fume. Contrast this with bleach, the favorite of commercial cleaning brands. Chemically sodium hypochlorite, it works by oxidizing the surface pigment of mold, turning black stains white. Visually, the ceiling appears spotless. Yet bleach evaporates completely within hours, leaving no protective residue behind. Weeks later, mold returns exactly where it was, because the surface is defenseless against new spores. Hydrogen peroxide suffers the same shortcoming. It foams on contact and kills mold at the surface, but it leaves nothing behind to prevent regrowth. A 2013 study testing hydrogen peroxide against 6 common household fungi verified its effectiveness on hard, non-porous surfaces, but exposed its failure on porous materials like drywall and wood, the very materials your ceilings are made of. Vinegar, another popular DIY recommendation, is acidic with a pH of roughly 2.5. While it can kill species like penicillium, it fails against aspergillus, one of the most prevalent molds found in damp ceilings and walls. Borax surpasses all 3 alternatives. It kills instantly, penetrates porous surfaces more effectively than bleach or peroxide, and leaves behind the only residue that genuinely stops mold from returning. This is not a flaw in the other products. It is the business model. A cleaner that removes stains today but guarantees mold returns next month ensures endless repeat purchases. Borax does the opposite. It resolves the problem permanently, leaving no chance for the customer to return. This is precisely why television commercials never instruct homeowners to use it on ceilings. The figures underline the story. If you understand this information, you know more about protecting ceilings from mold than 99% of American homeowners. Consider the hundreds of homeowners about to spend $4,000 on a remediation company that will not address the root cause. Every hidden technique the industry has buried exists in this vault. Now consider the economics. The mold remediation industry in the United States generates more than $2 billion in annual revenue. Globally, the market surpassed $1.2 billion in 2023 and is projected to reach $1.7 billion by 2032. This revenue depends on one factor alone: repeat customers. Picture the structure. A homeowner spots black spots spreading across a bathroom ceiling and panics. They hire a remediation company charging $10 to $25 per square foot. The company sprays a commercial antimicrobial, sets up containment barriers, runs air scrubbers, and presents a bill averaging $2,300. The ceiling looks pristine when the team leaves, but here's what they never disclose. Most commercial antimicrobial sprays evaporate entirely, like bleach, leaving no long-term protection. If the moisture source is not corrected, and remediation companies seldom correct it because it falls outside their responsibility, the mold inevitably returns within months. The homeowner calls again, pays again, and the profit cycle restarts. Mold remediation jobs alone range from $1,000 to $9,000, depending on severity. 35% of all residential mold removal projects involve interior walls or ceilings, making it the largest category in the market. Labor costs run $75 to $120 per hour, with the average job lasting 3 to 7 days, according to industry data. Add in inspection fees, containment setup, air scrubber rentals, chemical costs, and post-treatment testing, and a single bathroom ceiling can generate thousands of dollars for a company that simply sprays and leaves. This is not a service model. It is a subscription model disguised as repair work. Now imagine if every homeowner knew that a box of borax from the laundry aisle, costing $3 to $5, could treat an entire house's ceiling mold. 1 cup dissolved in 1 gallon of hot water, applied with a $2 spray bottle from any hardware store. No containment, no air scrubbers, no hazmat gear, no 48-hour drying protocol. Unlike commercial products, the borax residue remains, forming a permanent alkaline barrier that stops recolonization. The remediation company does not merely lose a customer, it loses them forever. Borax cannot be patented. This naturally occurring mineral has been public property for over 1,000 years. No proprietary version exists to force quarterly repurchases. No multi-billion-dollar industry can be built around a solution a homeowner can execute in 30 minutes with a simple spray bottle. The truth is, borax was never banned. It wasn't outlawed. The solution was quietly removed from public conversation by an industry that had no financial motivation to promote it. Retailers pushed it off the shelves because higher-margin branded alternatives generate far more profit. Contractors leave it out of recommendations because a simple $3 box from the laundry aisle earns them no commission. Home improvement television programs ignore it, relying instead on advertising dollars from companies selling $60 mold sprays. In the public consciousness, these expensive products replaced borax, 50 times the price, working half as well, but guaranteeing repeat purchases that keep the ecosystem profitable. The system does not require borax to fail. It only requires that you forget it exists. And for decades, that strategy succeeded flawlessly across the United States. Until now. Here is exactly how to reclaim that lost knowledge. Step 1. Head to any grocery store or hardware store and find the laundry aisle. Look for a box of sodium tetraborate, most commonly sold under the brand name 20 Mule Team Borax. A 4-pound box costs between $3 and $5. That single box is enough to treat every ceiling in a typical 3-bedroom house with powder left over. Step 2. Identify all ceiling surfaces showing signs of mold. Watch for black spots, green discoloration, or yellowish water stain rings that reveal past moisture damage. Step 3. Put on a basic dust mask and rubber gloves. While borax is not toxic in normal concentrations, disturbing mold spores can release them into the air, so protect yourself. Step 4. Dissolve 1 cup of borax powder in 1 gallon of hot water in a bucket. Stir until the solution is completely clear. Step 5. Pour this mixture into a standard spray bottle and thoroughly saturate the moldy ceiling. Be generous. The surface should remain visibly wet. Step 6. Allow the solution to sit for 15 to 20 minutes so the alkaline compound penetrates and destroys the fungal cells beneath the surface. Step 7. Scrub the area with a stiff bristle brush or heavy-duty sponge. Watch the black discoloration lift as the dead mold separates from the ceiling. Step 8. And this is critical. Do not rinse off the borax. Let the ceiling air dry with the mineral residue intact. This thin crystalline layer becomes a long-term antifungal barrier, preventing mold from ever returning. If you plan to paint the treated area, wait 24 hours for the surface to dry completely. Apply a stain-blocking primer before finishing with your chosen paint. The borax residue bonds with the sealing material underneath, continuing to protect the surface even after it is painted. Total cost for treating an average bathroom ceiling? Less than $1 for borax, $2 for a spray bottle, and about 30 minutes of your time. Treat the entire house. Bathroom ceilings, bedroom corners, garage walls, even the stubborn mold ring around the kitchen exhaust, and the total cost remains under $5 using the same box. Compare that to the $2,000 to $5,000 a professional remediation company would charge for a single bathroom ceiling using products that fail to prevent regrowth. That is a price difference exceeding 99% for a treatment that works better and lasts longer than professional methods. A retired contractor in Ohio shared online that he treated his entire basement ceiling using this method after 2 separate remediation companies failed to stop recurring black mold. That was 3 years ago, and the mold has not returned. Another homeowner in Houston applied the same approach to a bedroom ceiling damaged during Hurricane Harvey. Treated once, sealed with primer, the ceiling has remained clean for years, while neighbors who relied on professionals had to retreat the same areas multiple times. Now, an important limitation. Borax is effective on surface mold that has not deeply penetrated structural materials. If your drywall is soft, crumbling, or warped from prolonged water exposure, you may need to replace that section entirely before treating the new surface. Borax kills mold and prevents it from regrowing, but it cannot reverse structural damage that has already occurred. Additionally, if an active roof or plumbing leak exists above the ceiling, it must be fixed first. No treatment can stop mold permanently while moisture persists. Borax is not magic. It is chemistry, and chemistry only works under the proper conditions. For the majority of ceiling mold cases, where moisture has been addressed and the surface remains intact, this $1 treatment outperforms professional solutions at less than 1% of the cost. Ancient Tibetans knew this mineral destroyed fungus 1,200 years ago, packing it onto caravans sent along the largest trade network the world had ever seen. Egyptians used it to preserve pharaohs' bodies. Romans sealed ceramic vessels that would endure longer than their empire. Your grandmother knew it too, keeping a box under the sink next to the dish soap, never calling a professional to clean her ceilings once in her life. The United States Environmental Protection Agency tested borax and verified its effectiveness. The mold remediation industry saw those results and hoped homeowners would never discover them. We did not lose borax. We were made to forget it. Forgetting is never permanent. The powder remains on grocery store shelves across America. $3 bottom shelf boxes in the laundry aisle await you, ready to remind you of what your grandparents never needed to be taught. If this knowledge opened a vault for you, share it with every homeowner who has stared at a moldy ceiling feeling powerless. Every share preserves what the industry tried to erase. Every act of awareness keeps this knowledge alive. And soon, the next vault opens, revealing even more hidden truths the roofing industry has concealed. Truths even weightier than what you have just learned.